Holding on page 13 of the Maimer, in the Hebrew it's page Yud Zayin, Ois Vav, line 20, and we're explaining concerning the idea of L'mayla mayla den ketz, that we find the concealment of Hashem so powerful that even though there could be a state of complete darkness, that the godliness, despite its presence over here, is not revealed to us to such a degree that there can be creations that say that I made myself. Still in, I believe we're holding Ois Vav, correct? Or we're holding Ois Hey. 1 minute.
Recording stop.
Continuing. So we're holding, like I mentioned before, on Ois Vav, and we were talking about that there's the different levels of concealment. To such a degree is the concealment, like we brought from what the Baal Shem Tov writes, that Bereshis bara Elikim, through the level of Midas Hatzimtzum, through the level of Midas Hatzimtzum, we are through the level of Midas Hatzimtzum, we are drawing down the Bereshis, the level of the beginning of Seder Ishtalshus, the level of Chachma, into Ace, into the letters of Aleph through Taf, which are all the different concealments, and those concealments go down further till they're even concealed in the level of the different klippas that cover over. There's Tayu, Vavayu, V'chayshach, and Tahaim, and all these things cause such a concealment that even though if a person were to use their mind and to contemplate, they would be able to realize that really Hashem is in this world, bringing this world into being and into existence. But because the concealment is so great, meaning the L'mayla mayla den ketz, the idea that the Eibishter is so high and so removed to no end, therefore it brings about a state where it could be a person could say Pari could say that I made the Nile myself, and the power of my hand, the might of my hand is able to do all of this. Why? Because despite Hashem's presence in this world, He is so much removed from this world, completely removed from this world. In a way of Helam Achar Helam, that's L'mayla mayla den ketz. So again, Ois Vav, line 20, page 13 of the PDF. And then the Frierdiker Rebbe continues in his Maimer of the series of Amarim Basi Legani, Ois 15, the Cholzo B'koyach Ein Sof, quote, all the listen, the power of the Ein Sof, Lasis Helamis Vesterim Elu, to be able to make such type of concealments, such a powerful type of concealments, this is only the Ein Sof can do that. Just like when we say that Hashem could expand His light to the lowest levels, even into coming down and affecting and bringing about powers of Hashem's infinite in this world. For example, the idea of procreation is a power of the infinite, the existence of the heavenly host, the sun, the moon, the stars unchanging, is a power of the infinite. The fact that nature constantly works in the way the sun always goes up in the morning and it always sets at night, all of these things, the consistency and constancy, and the very creation of Yesh Ma'ayin is all a power of the Ein Sof. So just like that is a power of the Ein Sof, Shezeu Indian the Ein Sof Lamata the Matin and Tachlis, that's the other side of the phrase. We know, we said earlier, it says Ein Sof Lamata Matin and Tachlis. The Ein Sof comes down below to no end, meaning it functions and and it affects things in this world down here below. So just like it has the expansion capability to come down even down here below to affect what it has to affect, so too it's the power of the infinite that conceals and covers over in many concealments and coverings. Shizeu inyan oirin sof l'mayla din ketz. That's the definition of the other half of the phrase, that the oirin sof is higher to no end. Like we said, that one contrasts the other. From understanding the lamata mata din tachlos, we understand oirin sof l'mayla din ketz. And that, as we said earlier, and we're going to conclude this mimer as well, is the oitzer, the treasure, that level of the oirin sof, not the aspect that's lamata mata din tachlos, but the aspect that it's l'mayla din ketz. That power is given and administered via the officers to the soldiers to be able to have the victory in the war. Continuing in this theme about how infinite the power of Hashem is in concealment. So the Maimer continues, line 27 of Mamshech, the Frierdiker Rebbe continues, quote, this is what it says in the Pasuk, Ochen ato kel mistater. Behold, you are a God of concealment. Meaning, the fact that you conceal yourself in so many concealments and coverings, that's you yourself. That's a power of the Ein Sof. It's not like something else, heaven forbid, that covers over in Hashem. The Kishem Shechesed Keil Kol Hayoim, top of the next page, just like the Hashem's kindness, which is kindness means expansiveness. The Yom Hu B'chinas Gilui, the level of Yom shows on revelation, like it says Hashem called the light, He called it day, so light and revelation has to do with day. Just like revelation is about Hashem's chesed. Chesed is giving, revelation, expansiveness. It's also associated with Shem Keil. We know the different spheres have to do with different names of Hashem. Elokim has to do with Gevura. Keil has to do with chesed. So just like there is the Keil of Hashem or just like there is Hashem in the expansion and revelation and function, that Frierdiker Rebbe goes on to say that the fact that Hashem actually is concealed, that is you yourself. That's the power of the Ein Sof of concealment. End quote to the Frierdiker Rebbe. So now the Rebbe is going to expand on it. The idea behind this is, like the Rebbe Rashab explains at length in the series Mamarim of Samach Vav and Ayin Beis, Ubakam Mekayim in many places, Shekeshem Shakoyach HaBli Gvul Nim Shebchinas Bli Gvul Amitim, just like the power of Hashem's unbounded, infinite power. That the fact that we find Hashem having an unbounded power, unlimited power, that comes from His true nature of being unbounded and unlimited. Kach gam koyach hamagbil. So too, the power that is able to cause boundaries, to cause limitations. V'gam koyach hagvul shalamata menu, and also the power that is limited already, not just the power that limits and sets boundaries, but the power that's already limited. That also comes from the true Bligvul. In other words, just like we said before, that the mistater is also from Ato. The concealment, the covering, is also coming from Hashem Himself and the Oir Himself. And the Rebbe Rashab says, what's the proof? That even the power of limitation and even the power that's limited comes from Hashem's infinite power. Shari Yidua, it's known Shekol Oir V'Gilui, it's impossible for any light or revelation to constrict and limit himself. Only there needs to be another entity, something outside of that should constrict it. From wherever this light and revelation comes down, from there comes down the power to constrict and to limit. In other words, the very source of the light, which is a power of the infinite, like Basungan explained, that is able to now control and set limits on the light. The light itself, it just expands without an end. You need to have something that's beyond the light to set limits on it. So he says in the brackets in line 13, Va'adrabah, even more so. Because of this, we must say that the idea of Hashem's concealment, the power of limitation, it reaches in Hashem's you-ness more so and higher than the idea of Kale, which is revelation. Because the power of limitation needs to force itself and control the power of expansion. So that power of limitation must be higher than the power of expansion, or else how can that power of limitation control it? By the way, a very practical example of this, I remember speaking to my mashpia about this in Morristown many years ago. A very practical example is that the natural state of a person is to be wild, no limits. Whatever he can do, he wants to do. The whole idea of growth and maturity and discipline is to learn to control and to limit and to, if you will, box in certain things. So in other words, that power of discipline, the power of control, is something that's higher than the power of expansiveness, or else I wouldn't be able to control myself, or else I'd be, and people that have certain illnesses can't control themselves or whatever. But normally, that power of limitation is something that's higher than and is able to control. So he says in line 15, and the Rebbe Rashab brings examples and metaphors, like as the matter can be found in below the Tzimtzum. This we're all talking about how the power of Gvul is limited in the true Bli Gvul of Hashem, higher than the Tzimtzum. But he brings examples of that higher level, the way it's lower than the Tzimtzum. Ba'olemus, in the worlds, Ba'kelim de Bri Yitzira V'Asiyam, in the vessels of Bri Yitzira V'Asiyam. In other words, the fact that the Kelim of Bri Yitzira V'Asiyam can contain and limit the light, that is also a power that comes from Hashem himself. So we find examples of this in Kelim B'Atzilus, the same idea. The Kelim limit and constrict and discipline, if you will, the light, prevent it from being expansion without an end. Even before the Tzimtzum, we have that type of limitation and putting a block over it. So he says, until Hashem's very essence, over there in Hashem's essence, it's all about a state of potential, the capability and possibility to illuminate, to shine a light or not shine a light. They are both the same. It's not in Hashem's essence, it's all the same. Lights on, lights off. It's a binary system. It's no difference. From the fact that all the way up in Atzmus, there's the two levels, the on and off switch, the light, possibility for light and possibility for not lighting. From there comes out From there comes out both concepts. Lamata den Tachlis, that goes down to no end. That's the level of Hashem's infinite power, expansiveness, revelation, the shining of the light, and the concealment, the constriction, the discipline that he places on his expansion. That is the idea that it's above to no end. Both of these things are an Ein Sof power of Hashem. That's why we say the Ein Sof is beyond to no end and below to no end. But each one comes from a different aspect. The power to illuminate or the power to withhold. The idea that it goes down to no end, that Hashem expands all the way down here and is involved and engaged with this world. That comes from the power of illumination, the possibility and capability to illuminate. The idea that Hashem is above to no end. In other words, the concealment comes from that capability in Hashem's very essence, that that potential and capability not to illuminate. That is the power to constrict and conceal in one concealment after another concealment. This is what it says. Behold, you are God that conceals, that's concealed, that it's all you, it's all the earnest of. It to such a degree it becomes concealed in many coverings and in many shells, like the teaching of Baal Shem Tov that was mentioned earlier. As it even is reflected in the avoid of a person, that it's so covered, the godly power, that a person down here could say that the Nile is mine, I created that. And the power and the might of my hand is what what accomplishes everything. It's not Hashem's doing. Like the Frierdiker Rebbe concludes in that ois in the Maimer, top of the last page. This capability that there should be such a type of unbelievable concealment, that's only the Ein Sof can make something so concealed. Only in the power of the Ein Sof is it possible to conceal and cover over in many different concealments and coverings. That's the idea that the Ein Sof is above to no end, that it's capable of doing all these concealments. I don't remember if I might have mentioned this in the previous year, but it bears repeating, even if I didn't. Just to understand these two things of the Lamata Mata Den Tachlis and the Lamaila Maila Den Ketz. For example, if there is a person that has a company, a person has a factory, and this person has the capability to involve themselves and be invested and dealing with every little detail that goes on. There is no detail that he does not have some type of involvement and direct connection with. That is an example of Hashem's Lamata Mata Den Tachlis, that Hashem, the Ein Sof, expands so far that it reaches even the lowest worlds. But a greater trick, if you want, is that while the boss of the company is involved in the lowest, most levels, he is at the same time completely hidden. His employees don't even realize that he is pulling the strings behind the scenes, and they think that, the manager came up with this, or it's my own idea, or whatever, and really the boss has been working behind the scenes to run this. So he conceals himself completely so that nobody should even recognize his involvement in there. That's the idea of Ein Sof L'mayla Den Ketz. That despite the fact that he comes down Lamata Mata Den Tachlis, still in all, he is L'mayla Den Ketz. He's completely concealed from the worlds that he's actually micromanaging. Okay, last ice in the mind. Line 5, 15th page of the copies. The treasure that's given to be victorious in the war, Vahainu, we are given not just the part of Hashem's expansiveness, the infinite power of Hashem that expands all the way down here. We said b'derech bizbuz. It's not a calculated administering of the treasures. It's something that's given away without any calculation, completely given away. The idea of a treasure is, the concept of a treasure is that it's concealed. Like we said before, that a treasure could be things that He never showed, his parents never showed, and so on. That's the idea of the concealment and the ascent that's above to no end. That's why we say we're giving them oitzreis. We're giving those fighting the war against the Klippa, the war of bringing Mashiach, they are being given oitzreis, meaning they are being given the level of godliness the way it's completely concealing himself. And through that, the military, the soldiers are victorious in the war. Like we said before, though the ones that actually distribute these treasures, these are through the officers. Like, for example, the Rabbeim, the Nesiim, they reveal the Pnimis HaTorah, the most concealed parts of the treasures above. The intention and the purpose is that through the officers, through the Rabbeim, through the Nesiim, the treasures should reach the soldiers, that they are called the army of Hashem. Why is it important that it reaches the soldiers? Because the soldiers are the ones that actually accomplish the victory. They are the ones that actually bring about the victory in actuality. Just like in going out of Mitzrayim, Yidden are called the army of Hashem. Like it says, that all the hosts of Havaya went out from the land of Mitzrayim upon their hosts. All the army of Hashem went out from the land of Mitzrayim upon their hosts. In other words, they came out as an army in a similar way. Like the days of you going out of the land of Mitzrayim, I will show you wonders, meaning that the Geula with Mashiach will be similar to the way we went out of Mitzrayim. This will happen by the coming of Mashiach. Through our void, throughout the duration of the time of Golus and going out to war. In such a way that we take this treasure of fear of heaven. We say that in every year there's an embedded treasure of fear of heaven, and through using our own internal oitzer, our own internal treasure, we also receive the treasure of above, and we are victorious in the war. And Yidden go out with an upraised hand. Soon, mamash.